Hey everyone, Corrie here, coming in to do the weekly channeled message. This is for October the 25th. It's taken me all day to get this, so it's being recorded. This is new moon energy, eclipse season, blah, blah, blah. It's in Scorpio. That kind of might mean nothing to anyone. It might mean everything. I don't live by, it's not what we live by. It's not for us to like live by a set of this is what's going to happen in our lives. This is how it's going to be. And because the moon is here and this is happening and this is what your life is going to turn out to be. Everything in our lives is because of the choices that we make. And that's how our life turns is, we exist in energy and energy that's happening out there and through us. But ultimately it comes down to the choices that we make in this world, and you don't make anyone else's choices. And every choice that somebody makes is a choice that they choose to make. And sometimes we don't realize that the choices we make are so divinely directed and guided, and other times they are totally guided by ego. And so if I had to record this earlier, I would have had somewhat of ego, because they would have had that pressure, that feeling that it is, it's the beginning of the week, I need to get a message out. I also promised there'd be a meditation. Am I breaking my promise because there is no meditation today? I don't have anything, and I don't script this work. I don't script what I do. And I have spent my lifetime just showing up wherever. And I would say I'm a little bit like the Forrest Gump of the world in a way. Is I don't really fit, don't really belong. And it's like unmarketable, unsellable. That's kind of the things that I've heard about myself over the years, is we don't know how to market you, don't know how to sell you, we don't know how to promote you. We don't know how to, what is your gifts? What do you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I just show up. And that's pretty much it, is that and that's it. And my choice to be me has, come at a cost. And so for you, and for this message that's really truly coming through tonight, is that of your truth, of being you and who you are. And really a lot of what we try to be is not really us. So there is a lot of shifting happening within us, but it's about choices. And it's about the choice that we make. And every choice that we make leads us down a path. And it doesn't mean the path doesn't turn and another opportunity for another choice is coming in. But all we got to do is make a choice. And we are responsible for the choice that we personally make. And you are not responsible for somebody else's choices and somebody else's decision. You don't force or make anyone do anything in their lives. We all have free will. And that essence of the free will, and the free will to you, and our ability to use our own free will, is where we truly have to look. And looking in at that reflection, and what is reflecting back at us when we look at the choices that we've made. And sometimes we have to really honestly and authentically look at even our choice to be judgmental. So this energy that's with us and where we are is saying, you know what? We may be the energy, this may be the energy is out there, but this energy is not making you do anything. This energy is not making you angry. This energy is not making that, it's not making you behave a certain way today. Something within you is causing you to behave the way you're behaving. Something within you is, triggering a response. Something within you is not sitting right with you. You may not be personally happy with where you are. You may not be, not the moon. The moon is not doing this, because the moon didn't leave the universe. The moon didn't leave the sky. The moon didn't disappear. The moon is just, it's just in the shadow. It's just a dark moon. It's just not visible because it's in the shadow. It's behind. And so it is still there. So nothing changed, other than the fact that the planets and how the planets align and how everything happens, it does affect it affects the energy. But what we are, who we are, is all based on our own choice and decision to how we're going to feel today, how we're going to respond to the world today. So how did you respond to the world today? How did you show up into the world today? And, do you take it as an opportunity to say that I got the free pass to behave however I want because we're in a moon cycle that is like a new moon. And we got eclipse, and I just listened to all these things talking about all my past is going to come up, and I'm going to have to deal with all this. And I'm going to have to feel all of this. And it's like, yes, it does impact us that way, but the choice is still ours. And so the choice is to really, truly look into ourselves, to look into how we respond, and that nothing makes us do the things that we do but us. We hold on. It's like, oh, I just can't leave, or I just can't do this, or I just can't do that. Well, why can't you? Right? It's like, so instead of can't is I choose not to. And that is more powerful. I choose not to right now. I choose not to walk away. I choose not to leave yet. I choose not to do that right now. Or I choose to do this. I choose to do that. And don't even have to explain yourself. You just make a choice, and you are responsible for the consequences of that choice, and knowing that you can still make another choice. And maybe you're not the person you need to be today, to make a bigger choice. Maybe you're not that person. So by saying it's me, I'm choosing to do this, I'm doing this. And so personal ownership, personal authority, because the moment we start to do that, we step into our personal authority. We start to own that energy and own that responsibility. So if it's, if it's a place that feels like, I'm not happy there, and everyone's always like, well, just leave. And then you start explaining why you're not leaving. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Just say, I'm just choosing not to right now. I'm not ready right now. It's not it doesn't feel right to me now. I need to do something more for myself, but you don't even have to explain yourself. Don't feel like you need to justify it. Don't feel like you need to explain yourself. Don't feel like you have to do shit all. You don't have to do anything other than to be you. And that is going to help you move into the newest version of you. It's going to move you into a truth. It's going to move you into being able to be your own inspiration, so that you can honestly and authentically say to yourself, that's a powerful response. I don't want to. I'm not there yet. And I refer often back to this donkey story in my life. And I was just talking about it again today. And I would say that when I got one of my spirit guides come through, animal spirit guide, I was expecting like this big, like fancy, like bird maybe, or something. I don't know what I was expecting, something beautiful. And I got a donkey. And I spent a long time with that donkey and as a spirit guide. And it was kind of, I felt like I was in that Shrek movie, right? I'm like, I just could hear that voice, because you have a memory of a donkey, right? Like, and the other memory of donkey would be Jesus. And I just had that memory, that moment, that story in my heart and in my mind. And in my time with the donkey, what I discovered was, just because I can doesn't mean I want to. Just because I can doesn't mean I have to. So, just because I'm in a situation doesn't mean I'm ready to be the person to go. So just because, somebody says you need to go now doesn't mean I need to. Just because somebody says you have to do something doesn't mean I have to. I'm choosing not to. I am choosing not to. Maybe a next day I may change my mind again, but you have the rite of passage to always change your path, to change your mind, to go another direction. But the power right now of stepping into and owning your personal power, because what we're here now to do is to really appreciate us, appreciate yourself, appreciate every experience, and really truly know your value, know how valuable you are. Today I had no message, and I'm like, I choose not to record because I don't have anything. I just don't. There's nothing coming, but I choose to go get a new toilet seat for my toilet. But I choose not to do that today. And so I'm here tonight because now it just came and I got it. And a part of the message really came through while I was like browsing Winners with an armful of stuff, thinking, oh, I'm going to buy myself a few shirts. And just because I can doesn't mean I need to. Just because I can doesn't mean I want, doesn't mean I have to. And that was the thought. And so I walked around with this cute sweater and a purse over my shoulder. And it's like, this is not my story. Just because I can buy this today, I choose not to. I could choose to buy it, and then I can choose later to kind of be angry at myself for buying it. Or I could choose not to and think, oh, it might be one of a kind, or it might not get another one, but maybe something better will come along, right? It's like, it's not that taking away my worth and saying, oh, you can't have that. It wasn't about beating myself up about what I couldn't do, it's like, oh, you can't afford that. I didn't tell myself in my head the old thought stories. And that's huge, because when you say I'm choosing, then that's you claiming and owning that experience, that moment, that choice you're making. And it is not the right choice, the wrong choice. It's not about right, wrong. It's about making a choice, because when you make a choice, you start to empower you, you start to connect back to you. And so just because I could, and I walked around until the stuff got really heavy, and I'm like, do I really want this? And I end up spending $7 instead of like the $150 worth of stuff I had. And the $7 was an eye cream that I really went there for and that I needed. And I put everything else back where it belonged, so that other people wouldn't have to pick it up, but back where it belonged. And I just said, just because I can today doesn't mean I choose not to. I choose not to. Not my shadow, not guilting myself, not shaming myself because I can't afford it, or because I'm going through my own transition through financial, nothing of that. It was just because I can, the donkey story. I choose not to. And in the end, my donkey became a Pegasus. It just expanded. It's like it broke out of its skin. It broke out of the shell. It was like, it was showing me who it was as one form. And it let me see this so that I could find its worth and its value without having to fill it up, without having to create it, without having to give it more. It didn't have to be something great. I just had to find it, and I had to feel it. And it was that message that was and it was like, just because we can, don't mean we need to. And that stayed with me. And so, and when it became a Pegasus, it was like, remember, this is what you're trying, this is what you're achieving of you. This is you stepping into an expanded version of you. And only you can get you there. Only you can get you there. Nobody else is going to be able to get you there. Just you. So every choice that you make, you own them. You own those choices. And just know that that choice you're going to make, you will have to tell yourself after, is that taking me back to, being a slave, being a servant to everything else, and having to do, things that don't serve me, things that don't really bring me happiness? Or is it taking me to my Pegasus energy? Is it taking me back to the stables, or to Pegasus energy? Which one is it taking me to? Is it taking me into the light of my truth? So every one of those choices that we make, those are things. And when we own those choices, yeah, I made that choice. It wasn't the wisest choice. It wasn't the best choice. It wasn't, it probably wasn't something that I really should have done, but I made it. I did it. And so I'm trying to adjust lights because it's changing here. And so that's our message. And just, as I said, it referred back to the winners. And so that was me listening to spirit. That was me listening to the divine that was speaking to me, as I could feel the weight of it, as it was, don't go to the counter yet, just keep walking. Look, hey, come over here, look over here. Maybe something, I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a and I kept putting things over my shoulder, and I walked around with a purse on my shoulder. And I loved the purse. And it was just because I could, just because I loved it, don't mean I love it enough to sacrifice my Pegasus. It don't mean that I love it enough to put myself backwards when I'm looking to go forward. Right. It's like, and so that those choices that we make, we have to look at what it's going to cost us for those choices. So when we make them, we don't, you can hear all the chatter in the world, but it has to be you. And it's always you, because no one overrides that free will. What you choose to do, you choose to do. That's your choice that you make. And so owning that, becoming a part of that, becoming a part of examining and looking at our lives that way, then reminds us, like, why did I do that? Right? Why did I put myself there? And it's like, okay, I made a choice to be here. Now I'm also going to make a choice to get myself out of this. So everything that we're doing is, once we own it, once we know it, once we got it, we will start to feel the sense of wanting to inspire, empower ourselves to do something greater. So referring to a donkey all the way to a Pegasus, right? And so thinking of Jesus, of the little child born in a stable, to a carpenter, to a choice and a decision that he made to walk another direction, to walk another way. And just, it's like, yeah, I'm really good at this. I'm a really good carpenter. I'd probably make a good life at it. And I could go sit in the pew in a church and I could listen, or I can go be like hippie. I can be, I can go be free spirited. I can go walk and I can spread the word and I can do whatever. And I can be a spiritual guide and a spiritual teacher. And I can do that. And I'm going to choose that. And so that moment of choosing that was a choice to walk away from that way, and to be in a more uncomfortable place. But knowing that where he was headed was a Pegasus moment, that becoming a light, becoming the ultimate of his divine purpose, to live out the divine purpose, the divine call, was ultimately that call of the heart, right? And so everything that's over here, bring it back to a simple little story, a human story, is everything, every choice that I make, and every choice you're making, and every choice that's coming up for us right now, is truly about, don't lay it over. Don't lay it over there. Don't put it on somebody else. It's yours. And is it taking you one step closer to that break free moment? Is it truly breaking you free and breaking you out of all of the chains, all of the narratives of the stories, all of the things that hold us hostage? Is it able to do that for you? Are you getting there? And that's what you have to ask yourself right now, because this is about us leaving behind the habits, the behaviors, the repeat cycles. And this is about us giving birth to, that new sense of self. And that is happening that choice is there every day for us. Every day is an opportunity for us to say no to one thing and yes to something new, right? And that's how we start to evolve the human, evolve ourselves, by allowing ourselves to become part of something greater that exists within us, becoming a part of our spiritual self, our spirit, our essence, our soul, our higher self, connecting to our divine, and to start to create that divine essence of self. And I hope in some way that this makes sense to you, and you get it. It's like, just because I could buy those things today, I choose not to. I made a choice. I choose to look at where I'm going. And I choose to put these things back because that's more weight, and I'm going here, and I don't need the luggage. I don't need the extra baggage. I don't need to a day down the road, instead of wearing it with love and joy, then I'm wearing it with guilt that I invested somewhere that wasn't really wisely to me. And why was I there? I was there because I was roaming around, because I was supposed to be recording and nothing was coming. And I had one thing to do in the mall. I did the one thing. I had to get it. And then I had to get a toilet seat in Walmart. I did those two things. That was my checklist. I did what was on the list. I chose to do those things, and they were necessities. And then everything else was me trying to fill up space and trying to fill up what was missing from me. What was missing from me was my connection to my Pegasus energy. What was missing was me sitting over here in this energy and choosing to just roam around. And what was missing was that I somehow was not really connecting to the spirit. I was very human. I had spent a few hours being very connected earlier today for work. And then I was denying myself the time in that energy. And so when you deny yourself that time, and you deny yourself the opportunity to even take ownership and claim that energy, is you deny yourself the opportunity to also rise above those experiences in those moments. And it's such a beautiful process when we recognize and we see it a little bit differently than blaming, shaming, guilting ourselves or others for choices and decisions, that it gives us the opportunity to heal, resolve, to clear up the old energy, and to create that why. It's like, have that narrative, that story, have something right here that is the essence of teaches us our greatest lessons. And then that journey over here. And is every choice, is the choices I'm making sending me back this direction? Is it, I'm going to have to go home with my tail between my legs and go back to an old, or Is it over here? And like, as I said, that donkey spirit always says to me, it's just because I can doesn't mean I have to. Just because just because I'm the strong one, just because I'm the gifted one, just because I'm that doesn't mean I have to. Just because I'm in a store doesn't mean I have to buy. Just because I pick something up don't mean I have to take it home. just because you're in a relationship, it doesn't mean you have to stay. Just because you're in an argument in your relationship, it doesn't mean you have to leave. Just because somebody don't give you your own way, it doesn't mean you have to hate them. Just because things didn't work out, it doesn't mean that you have to spend your rest of your life shaming yourself because one thing didn't work out. Just because somebody didn't, just because a person made a mistake, just because a person may have, not had all the details and only had bits and pieces because somebody neglected to tell them all the rest. And you may have given, you may have listened and you may have contributed in a conversation knowing only pieces of it. And then you find out something new, beating yourself up for it forever. Do you really do that? Or do you make a choice to say, next time, I'm going to make sure that I really know everything. I want to know more of the details. I'm going to ask more questions. I'm going to, those things. We have that choice. And so the next time I'm going to do something better. This moment right here is my opportunity. And what I do with this opportunity really, truly is up to me. And whether I'm a success, whether I'm a failure, whether I'm those things, even if I fail, I got an opportunity to try again because at least I tried. Right. And that's where the power comes in. That's where the essence of truth comes in. And that's where our energy is taking us today. And so as the phone rings, as I'm coming down to this, now I'm going to make a choice to end this video and go answer this call. And much love. Have a beautiful week and be very aware of the choices you're making and why you're making them. Are you right here? And what are you going for? Are you going backwards or forward? Much love. Mwah. Have a beautiful week and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.